All right, so this is a look at a game that I played while I couldn't stream broadcasts of my Control playthrough. While I was out on a remote island, had no great Wi-Fi, had a decent phone connection, but and then like doing a Wi-Fi hotspot just wasn't doing it. So I played Darksiders Warmastered edition. So this is a obviously a remastered edition of Darksiders, the original game from PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 generation. And then they updated it, with remastered graphics and higher definition. So the whole series of Darksiders, so Darksiders 1, Darksiders 2, Darksiders 3, the first and second games got a remastered or War Mastered because the main character here is War. So War Mastered Edition and the Darksiders 2, which I've started playing after I beat this game. So I have beat this game. So if you haven't seen the endings and all these little upgrades that you get, so spoiler alert. The second game, Darksiders 2, which character was Death of the Four Horsemen. There are four horsemen in this kind of universe that that THQ Nordic has changed into a game format. Death was Darksiders 2, and since that was the last generation game, this generation game, they gave it a definitive edition but called it Definitive Edition. So Definitive Edition because the character's name is Death, right? Dad jokes almost for these titles. But I finished Darksiders 1, and it started out really, I don't know, it felt kind of slow. I wasn't too excited about the level that I started in. I started inside of a um, sort of a rundown, beat down city area, and it felt underwhelming at the beginning. Um, and I had just come off of playing some really, high graphic games like what was it that I was recently playing? I almost feel like I can't remember some of them that I've played. I'd have to jump into it, but wow, I'd have to look at my catalog. Let me go grab this. Didn't really have it canned to describe what it was I was thinking about. Let me just look here. So I've been playing No Man's Sky. Um, let's see. I'm just flipping through my games here. A lot of Resident Evil off of Mortal Kombat 11. Let's see what else here. Red Dead Redemption 2. Went back and forth to Grand Theft Auto, Batman Arkham Knight. Current generation games, The Crew 2, Just Cause 4, and then a couple of games that I've been playing through the Metro series, Metro Exodus. So anyway, maybe I was just used to those types of games this generation. So I felt like it was a little underwhelming. But as I played through more of Darksiders, um, just the amount of stuff that this character has, especially in the realm of combat. This is the end of the game, by the way, so I don't want to spoil what leads up there. But I mean, obviously, spoiler alerts all around. Um, the amount of stuff that this character upgrades to, and you can kind of see it in the pause menu here. So you upgrade a blade, you upgrade to different weapons. The scythe then becomes a harvester, but then you can change these things, and you get this glove, and then you can see all this gear that you're getting. And when you first start the game, all the stuff is pretty much empty except for this blade over here to the far left. And I've got the Abyss, the Armageddon blade, but you don't start with that weapon. So gear and wrath, and then you kind of go over to some of the forge that you can add little bits to the weapons down here. And then you got artifacts, which I've been collecting. I don't have them all. I could go back through and play through other parts of the game. You can see the top left, the wrath that you have, those yellow bars. The flashing demon-like skull is a sort of an overpowered version of War. That kind of stuff, I believe, starts really close to the beginning of the game. You can see all the skulls. That's my health. So as that green bar depletes to the far left, you get another skull. You upgrade. So every time the bar goes down, a skull at the top right, which I have 8 of, jumps down 1, and then the green bar fills up. So you upgrade all those. Over to the top right, I've got a mask that allows me to look into sort of this undead areas that I can see. You can see this version of it allows this bridge to materialize. I've got this different weapon scythe. Let's go back into the weapons. You can see some of them. Like, there's just so much stuff that this started to build upon, and I was really getting into it. So you've got move lists for this specific weapon, and then you can go back, and then you've got move lists for the harvester, which is sort of a variation on the scythe. So if I go over here, let's see, where is it at? Or I just changed the weapon. Forget how I do that. Anyway, so you upgrade those. This one's got its own. Like, each of these, like, the combat is great. It's very visceral. And then as you, okay, big spoiler coming up here. So if you don't want to be spoiled on Darksiders, then turn away. Like, even this hover ability that I had there. And then this character, voiced by Mark Hamill, you know, of Star Wars, played Luke Skywalker. If you don't know who Mark Hamill is, you know, these wings that I've got right here is an upgrade that I get that allows you to hover. And then here comes the biggest one for me. This is the most exciting thing right here. And if you don't want to get spoiled by this game, I highly recommend the game to play. Is this? You get what is it? Vane? I'm trying to figure out what the horse's name was. But you get this horse. I mean, he comes late in the game, but when you get him, it's extremely powerful and rewarding. And he lets you kind of traverse areas that were hard to traverse before, and you can battle while you're on the horse. Just, there is so much going on. I was very impressed with the way the game progressed. I wish I got the ability to up stuff. Alright, and then it sounds like he's voiced by Mark Hamill. And I can go to all these different levels. So I believe where I started out was sort of this area right here. So fast travel. Fast travel isn't necessarily instantaneous, but they sort of do this thing. So I imagine that the level is loading in the background. I don't know if the transition from me jumping into the serpent, was it serpent tomes? These things that let you kind of fast travel. The level is essentially loading the background, I imagine. So they let you, instead of watching a loading screen, kind of do this. It keeps you in the game, I guess you could say. But I don't necessarily need to use these. I could walk through the entire world and eventually get back to here. So this is kind of the area that I start in. This is sort of the first hub area. Let me kind of back off of this mask that I wear. And I come into this area from over here. So again, battle, I just click and hold this and I can zoom in on a guy. See, I can switch over to the scythe, hold down buttons. You got good combos here. Bam, 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 bam. Hold down buttons, I can switch to my other weapon. I can hold down that weapon, it gets a nice area of effect. I can pick these guys up, and then if I kill them specifically with that attack, then I can get health out of them. The blue skulls that are coming out are currency. The yellow skulls that are coming out are for the wrath. And then if I want to do specific wrath type of attacks, I hold the L1 for the PlayStation 4. Again, playing it on PlayStation 4. And I've got these upgrades that I've added. I can do Stone Skin, which is this right here. And you can see how it starts to slowly deplete the wrath bar that's flashing up there. It's just telling me, hey, it's depleting as you're using this. It just makes me stronger. I can switch over to this guy right here. So some of my attacks and the defense is different. Then I can switch over to this, which is a really powerful area of effect attack. Especially when I'm getting surrounded by enemies, I can hit that. These are pretty simple dudes to kill if I wanted to get some health and easy currency. And it just lets me kind of pummel them. and I can turn that off. You can see how it's depleting a lot very, very quickly, and I'll just let it deplete all the way. And then if I'm up against really enemies, I can switch to, let's see, the L1, R2. Bam, switch up to this big guy. This is really effective against strong, powerful enemies that take a lot to deplete. You see the gauge goes down. The gauge builds if I'm doing a lot more combos. In and trot over here, and the blade attacks them. These guys, I can lock onto an enemy, and I can just kind of roll around and that you meet along the way start to become very recognizable. You get connected with them. I believe some of them, this might be a spoiler, return in Darksiders 2. So yeah, I'm impressed with how this game grew on me and provided so much more than my initial impressions. And I guess it changes the way that I look at specific games. If you invest in any game, I'm sure that you could get connected to it or appreciate the amount of effort that the team that made it, in this case THQ Nordic, put into building this game. So I've really gotten... these games were all... They're not free, but they came as part of the PlayStation Plus membership, and it was just a download. So I got it in addition to that charge. So I got Darksiders 1, Darksiders 2, and Darksiders 3, and I've started Darksiders 2. And I am pleasantly surprised and happy with the time that I put into this game, into Darksiders. I highly recommend it. There's great combat, there's good puzzles, there's excellent exploration and rewards for those explorations. Talked about how great the characters are. The story, I think, feels a little lacking in some areas that I wish it would sort of flesh in more on the characters, but there's excellent characters that you meet along the way that sort of balance that out in the overall story. The ending left me feeling like I wanted to go straight into playing Darksiders 2. And then with Darksiders 3, that's the third of 4 Horsemen. So will they make a fourth one? Are they making it now? I'm late to the Darksiders universe. So that's why I'm doing these sort of flashback series. Is I'm quickly showing you some of the games that I've been playing and that I've been enjoying. And I'll kind of jump around a little bit, jump in one of these serpent holes again, and kind of jump over to another area. And if I wanted to, I could, from where I was just at, walk through the world and get there just on foot without having to go through these quick serpent hole loading screens. So, yeah, I highly recommend, if you are on PlayStation Plus and you've downloaded these, because usually I'll download PlayStation Plus games, even though that I may not have time to play them right now. I definitely want to at least put them in my library to where I can download them. I'm sure every PlayStation Plus subscriber probably does that same thing, and if you're not, highly recommend you at least adding it to your library. You don't have to download it into your hard drive. I've got a 4 terabyte hard drive that I put a lot of my games on, especially the digital stuff from PlayStation Plus, because PlayStation Plus has been giving great games away. I think the Xbox Live and the Game Pass and the Ultimate thing is very comparable. A little bit more expensive, I believe. I'd have to look at those numbers, but I think PlayStation Plus is winning on the free downloadable games area. So if you have them in your library and you haven't downloaded them, PlayStation Plus subscribers, get in there, download them from your library, and start playing them. I'm jumping into Darksiders 2 right now. I'm probably about an hour into that game, and I'll do a flashback or maybe some live streams of that game, because I was pleasantly surprised and happy with the time that I put into Darksiders. So, yeah, that was a quick flashback into Darksiders, some of the games that I'm playing in between my Remedy game Control streams. So take a look at Darksiders if you haven't. Take a look at the game Control if you haven't looked at that one. And I appreciate you jumping real quick into this flashback. I think I'm going to try to keep my flashbacks around 15 to 30 minutes, no more than 30 minutes. And that'll kind of get people an idea of some of the games that I'm looking at. And I'll try to make them better. I know I'm sort of rambling and not necessarily fighting, and a lot of the game has already been played for this episode of Flashbacks. So Darksiders, if you haven't tried it out, check out the Warmastered edition on current generation consoles. If you're PlayStation Plus subscriber and you at least added the 3 games that were given to you essentially for free, obviously there's a subscription fee, then yeah, absolutely recommend you jumping into these games because the combat is excellent. You have to, this guy right here that I'm fighting, he's got a specific way that I need to battle him. And if I know what his patterns are, it's sort of maybe the Dark Souls kind of vibe to it. I think. Oh, what is it? Mortal Kombat? It's been a while since I've played this game, so my ability to use my combos isn't as fresh as it used to be. But I think I'm remembering some of it. And this Armageddon blade that I'm using is extremely powerful too. Yeah, so again, can't say enough about recommending Darksiders. If you've got it in your library, I don't know whether or not it is something that is backward compatible with the Xbox games. But if you've got PlayStation Plus, again, I'm saying this over and over again, hopefully you added it to your library and it's ready to download. So Darksiders, Darksiders 2, Darksiders 3. I am finished with Darksiders 1. I am currently in Darksiders 2 and looking forward to jumping in Darksiders 3. All right, this is a quick flashback with DriedMoss. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next flashback episode.